Yeah, sorry, I let the intro roll way too long today. I got a phone call right before we started. Welcome everybody once again to the Straub Bro Sports Show. Absolutely pops. It's time to go. Thank you for joining us here on the 216 Sports Network. Whether you are follow and liked on Facebook or you are one of our 5.2 thousand subscribers on YouTube. And if you follow us on YouTube, you know what you find. All of us. 4th and 15 with Melon Smooth, the Jay Rich Show, the Ruler's Minute with Rico McGee, Outside Interference, and of course, the Straub Bro Sports Show. Where can you find the Straub Bro Sports Show? Oh, I got a big update here. You can find us on Twitter or X at Straub Bro Sports. You can find us on TikTok at the SBSS. You can find us on Instagram at Straub Bro Sports Show. And you can find us on Spotify, the Straub Bro Sports Show. Two big updates before I leave this slide. Number one, new TikTok up. Make sure you go check it out. Make sure you give it some love. Yes, it is a repurposed, repackaged reel that I sent out on Instagram, but who cares? Straub, you got some static, so turn your something down. And finally, I updated the Spotify this weekend. Actually, this week. So the Spotify is complete. Hold on. I want to be accurate. I think there's 65 episodes now of the Straub Bro Sports Show up on the Spotify. So if you follow us there and you've been like, wait a minute, man, where's the Straub Bros? I apologize. 100% on me. I have all of the shows, so I have to load them. But sorry about that, Straub. Sorry about that, everybody. But we're back. We're rolling. Okay? Shout out to Daniel. He's in with us. You already know the boys are rocking. Let's get to our friends of the show because, man, I've got some good updated slides. First things first, my guy Austin at Create Your Own Wave Apparel. First of all, that's my guy Austin with his mom as well, showing you the family love. Make sure you follow them on Instagram there at Create Your Own Wave 2021. And instead of me telling you, let me show you. Bow. Get your clothing at cywapparel.myshopify.com. First of all, I want the whole outfit up in the top right corner, and I know we don't wear masks anymore. Okay. That color scheme is thick. I've been telling him he's got to bring that back because that's some of the older stuff. But that's definitely fire. And there's some new stuff on the left-hand side, which is fire as well, because it gets called out. But I could not have that photo up because of how fire that stuff is right there. Austin is not our only friend of the show. You already know the Falls Rapids right here, the Straub Bro Sports Show, your broadcast home for all the Falls Rapid games, including the preseason. The full schedule has dropped. I do not have that updated on today's graphic because I have a more important one for today's show, but I will update that with all of the preseason games and the regular season games. Straub Bro Sports Show, your home. Right there is a glimpse of the interviews that I've been doing so far. The bottom row, okay, the bottom row there, only one of those has dropped so far. So that's stuff that nobody has seen yet, okay? That is brand new material. We dropped Coach this week. Yes, sorry. Too many names on my mind. But we dropped offensive coordinator, Coach. Man, I apologize. But yeah, Daniel will help me. Daniel will help me in the comments there. But the rest of those players.
That's what I would like for the first truck.
Breaking rapid news. We secured our first food truck for the tailgates. A big reminder that our Rapids are going to be playing their home games at Infocision Stadium, the home of the University of Akron. Yes, I said I went to say Hood, and then I second guessed myself. But Coach Hood was there there, and it's also Coach Hood's birthday today. Shout out to happy birthday, Coach. I fixed it with the birthday shout out. But like I said, more Rapids interviews dropping next week. I'm not going to spoil which one, but it's a really tall person. I don't know if you can tell by the photos down there. The one that I'm not zoomed in on yet. But that's not all. That's not the only Falls Rapids news I have. I want to bring this up. The Falls Rapids have a Santa toy drive going on. They have partnered with Keys to Serenity for a Christmas toy drive. New unwrapped toys can be donated at 2 locations. The first being MK Hair, 2695 North Haven Boulevard, Suite 10 in Cuyahoga Falls, and Moose Lodge number 918 4444 State Road, once again, Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio. If you can, and you can give back to the kids, we would really appreciate it. Me and Straub are going to be doing some stuff with them at those events when we do some of the stuff actually for the kids. I know the Rapids are going to be there. Absolutely. Keys to Serenity killing it. If you would like to visit keystoserenity.org or info@keystoserenity.org for any questions. So like I said, we're giving back to the kids. This will be the second fundraiser that me and Straub have been a part of. Obviously, if you've seen our interview with Josh Cribbs, that's part of a big fundraiser that excuse me, that we do anyways for the kids of Cleveland. But that's in the city of Cleveland. This is right here in Cuyahoga Falls, Akron area. So if you can help out, please, 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 please don't hesitate to drop off some toys. Like I said, new unwrapped toys at either of those two locations. Huh. Good call on telling me to breathe, bro. We'll let them in behind the scenes. Yeah, I was getting a little out of pace there. All right. I'm excited as hell about this one. New friend of the show alert. I hope she's in the viewing because I'm excited for this. New friend of the show alert. Glad to debut our new friend. Oh yeah, Straub hasn't seen this yet. Paula Howard and her small mama-run bakery, Smoopy's Sweets and Treats. Okay, she runs a from scratch bakery, accommodates for gluten-free if needed, located right here in Cuyahoga Falls. Offers free delivery around the area, Cuyahoga Falls, Akron, Stowe, and free shipping, not just locally, but to all 48 states, baby. And I love it. She is in the chat. Shout out to you, Paula. We appreciate you allowing us to put this amazing graphic up on the screen. Now, all orders over $20 get a 10% discount with the code cookies10. You see it there on the graphic until the end of November. So get those orders in now and help support not just a friend of the show here and not just a friend of the with the Rapids, because she's doing stuff with the Rapids as well, but another local person just like me and Straub trying to follow a dream and try to make it big. Now, the holiday menu that you see in green there on this graphic is only available in stores, but online there is a whole host of cookies available for shipping. Please check them out. They look amazing, and I'm not lying to you. I found the Facebook website before we ever did this thing, so I was already snooping around cookies. Like, okay, yeah, they look amazing. I get paid at midnight. So, Paula, when you see some orders fly in at like 12:31 in the morning, just ignore them. Ignore them tomorrow. I'm not in a rush. But Shmoopy Sweets and Treats, we will definitely give you some more info when we get to the end of the show as well. But make sure you get those order in. We'll be doing this every week. That menu will update as she updates her menu. So don't worry. Okay, plenty of stuff to get in. All right. So thank you, Paula, for being a part of the show. Now that I horribly ran through all of that, let's get to the news, bro. So the presidential election. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. We're not doing that here. No, we got some news. We got some sports news to talk about. Let's get rolling. First things first, let's stick with the NFL. Start in the NFL. Saints have fired head coach Dennis Allen after losing 7 in a row. On top of that, the Raiders cleaned house when they fired their offensive coordinator, offensive line coach, and quarterback coach after having the league's worst record at 2-6. I know you don't have much thoughts on the Saints. I know you have thoughts on the Raiders.
Well, first, hi, everybody. I'm doing good, Ken. I just wanted to make sure I, got in there because it seemed like we were rushing in the beginning. But
have I talked for 9 straight minutes?
Yeah, I was like, Jesus, man.
That's awful.
Anyways, yeah. Saints, I mean, you saw this coming, but I mean, you saw it coming now. In the beginning of the season, dude, these dudes were putting up 50 points, 60 points on people, and you're like, oh, okay, maybe the Saints are legit. And it's just absolutely downhill ever since. And the writing was on the wall that this team just absolutely could not keep that head coach any longer. So that's kind of all I got to say about that. But in terms of the Raiders, I guess the only good thing to come out of it is in a blowout loss to the Bengals, former Cincinnati and Atlanta Falcons and Arizona Cardinals quarterback Desmond Ridder came into the game and threw for a touchdown. So, it's not all bad in the NFL right now. But yeah, these were teams that clearly needed a change and are something that we saw coming. Honestly, there's not a lot out there right now in terms of people you can get and changes that can be made to drastically improve teams. So we'll see what happens. I'm sure this is just to kind of give them time to make the right choice, later on, maybe in the offseason. So we'll have to see, but we'll see if this also creates any more domino effects later.
There he is. There's my guy. There's my guy.
Yes.
Still got those Ritter auto stat or those auto Desmond Ridder autos stashed. Say that 3 times fast. I definitely can't today. I tried to get one of those for you for the record, but you didn't want it. I knew you were going to Desmond. That's fine. Neither of these franchises are really kind of going in a good direction. And it's a shame for them because Atlanta not only has a good quarterback, they've got a young good one right behind them. So yeah, good luck in the Buccaneers. Baker touchdown makers cooking. So yeah, tough one for both of these teams. Yeah, I don't care. I'm not in a mean way, but nothing's going to change until both of these teams blow it up. I'm not endorsing Michael Thomas' comments about Derek Carr. But yeah, we'll keep it moving. Here, this one hits home. Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb set for MRIs. That was in my notes. MRIs came out. CeeDee Lamb basically day-to-day, week-to-week with a bum shoulder. Dak Prescott out for weeks. I don't care. Once again, I have much more things that I care about on the show. I would rather run back and start the show over and redo the entire intro than talk about my Cowboys.
Yeah, all I gotta say is you had some hope. Obviously, there were some issues, but as soon as that news broke, I texted you because it's one of those. It's finally that time to just be accepting of a football team that's not going to do anything this year, and that's the vibe because there was still a little hope for your team. There was none for mine, and then that news came and it just sunk it right down to my level in terms of any hope on the season being a success. So
yeah, that'll get blurred. Here, I'll answer this question. I wanted to say on Sunday the reason was because Cooper Rush is the number 2, Trey Lance is the number 3. So Cooper Rush is at least practicing with some of these guys. But I what are we doing? Trade Cooper Rush to freaking the Saints or the Raiders and play Trey Lance. We got to see what this guy's got. Like this is it. Like there's what else are we doing?
Maybe he's bad enough where they don't even want to see what he's got.
Then cut him. Like I don't sign Ryan Tannehill. Like what are we doing? Like and you know what, Dad, I appreciate that. Listen, I was not excited for this Cowboys season. So none of this surprises me at any point. Shut it down, blow it up. I can't say sell the team. You got any more news?
No, not really. I think
you put my sunglasses on.
Unless I got something fun to talk about.
No. Okay. So let's keep it depressing. And give away our John Fisher of the week. Horrible Oakland A's and San Jose Earthquakes owner, John Fisher. As first, I get to go first when we give away the bad news. It is political. It's not actually about the president, though. These political ads that we have endured for the last month on both sides, all candidates, just do better. Like, do better. I don't expect them all to be positive. I could hope because, I grew up with political ads that at least half ran positive ones for the candidates. Now they're all just negative. But I shouldn't have to mute the TV or switch the YouTube TV to the Zen mode because my son is in the room. Shame on all of you. I'm glad they're finally over.
Yeah, I mean, technically your Straub bro could be that they're finally over.
Oh, my goodness.
But now we roll right into Christmas ads.
Don't even do it. I haven't heard Mariah Carey yet, but I know she is stumbling or coming over a mountain somewhere here soon, like Godzilla. Sorry, no shame to Mariah Carey. I'm just saying. But go ahead, your turn.
Yes. Mine is to all of the ranked teams that thought this week was going to be easy in college football. We'll touch on some of the games later, but 7 teams with a higher ranking than their opponent lost this week. 5 of them faced an unranked team. That is the most since 2007, when the number 3, 5, 7, 10, 13, 21, and 22 teams all lost to teams lower than them. Absolutely chaotic week in college football, and it's always one week that provides some chaos, but this one just seemed absolutely insane. And so those teams are my Straub Bro of the week, because you can't let it slip up, when you're getting into the sweaty palms time of the season, and they all did.
I'm not gonna. Yeah, I let that ride. He does do very good things for us and allows us to broadcast his football team. So I'll let his shitty comment ride. I mean, they're mine too. How about the Pitt Panthers? Yeah, we'll get to those. We'll get to those guys in a second. I think Daniel will be checking out the Feed a Kid at that point. All right. Enough of the bad news. Let's have some good news. It is time for our honorary Straub Bro of the week, presented to you by Create Your Own Wave Apparel. Don't ride the wave, create your own, and become a Straub Bro of the week. See, I'm back on track. All right, flying. Straub, you're up first.
Yes. As always, we have our Aston Jaunty alert. 31 carries, 149 yards, 2 tutties. Absolutely still killing it. My Heisman favorite, no matter what people say and how many people put other people on there. Aston Jaunty is my Heisman. Second, I don't normally do this because I don't like to.
I don't count Ashton Genty as your bro. So that's just our Genty.
My next one, I'm prefacing, I don't like to talk about my own teams a lot on this, but I don't.
Okay.
It may also just because we don't do a lot. My teams don't do good anyways. But mine is the Cincinnati Bearcats men's basketball team. And this is because, one, college basketball is back, everybody. And so before we're not going to touch on it too much until later in the season, but so I'll touch on it now. This is the first time since 2016 that the Bearcats are in the preseason top 25. They are ranked 20th, which is absolutely fantastic. And on Monday, they won 109-54 against Arkansas Pine Bluff. Awful team, but this is the first time they've scored 100 points in an opening game since 2017. There's a lot to like about this team. I am very, very excited, and I just wanted to give them their props because I'm going to be following them very intensely for the rest of the season. Absolutely, Craig. I am very much a homer.
Well, if you think he's a homer, bring it on home over here. I've got plenty, as always. This is how this rolls. So first, I'm going to start with our baseball team. I want to give a shout out to Guardians second baseman Andres Jimenez and left fielder Stephen Kwan for receiving their 3rd consecutive Gold Glove awards. Much deserved. Rocchio deserves one too, but he just plays at one of the best defensive positions in sports. Rocchio was a monster in the at least towards the playoffs, but whatever.
The Yankee series, there was a couple ones. I was
moving on. Secondly, staying in baseball, keeping it home strictly for me here. My favorite baseball player also won one. Former 2-time Guardian Carlos Santana of the Twins won a Gold Glove as well. Absolutely deserved. Bring him home. I don't care. I just want him on our team. I miss you, Carlos. I love you, Carlos. But dream interview. I'd have to learn some Spanish to do it, but a dream interview. You can be my translator. Second or third now. Keeping it at home again. Notre Dame, but not the one you're thinking of. My Notre Dame Fighting Irish women's basketball team. Yes, number 6 in the country. I didn't know you were doing basketball, so I'm glad we kept this one at home here. Kicked off the season, and Hannah Hidalgo is already balling. Sonia Citron, Maddie Westbell got her back as well. They blew out, it was Mercyhurst, 105-61 in their opening game. A little just a warm-up, but Hannah Hidalgo, okay? It was Caitlin Clark and Hannah last year and some other girls. Get used to it now. Hannah Hidalgo, Juju Watkins, all right? Just get the TikTok ready because it's already going to go. And last but not least, a personal one for me here. This one is literally back at home, like Bedford High School home. I want to give a shout out to one of my former classmates, Greg Dudley, who went to high school with me. This week had successful heart surgery. He's on the mend and recovering. Keep going, brother. Us Bearcats look out for each other. So we got you in our thoughts, bro. Keep getting better. Keep going. So that is my last Straub bro of the week.
Fantastic.
All right. Let's keep it positive and let's keep it rolling. With a new segment, with an old twist. It's time for our Cavs talk. We're going to continue to guard the land. I don't like the Cavs hashtag, so I'm rolling with this one.
Let them know,
they are balling. What?
Let them know, baby.
Oh, let them know. No, well, I'm sticking with guard the land. They are balling. In my notes, it was 8-0, but it's 9-0 now. All right. The best start to the season in Cavaliers history. The last time the Cavaliers started a season like this, they went to the NBA Finals. I'm just putting that in the air. Okay. Mitchell's hitting big shots. This team is playing good defense. You've got 4 starters averaging over 15 points, and Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, Darius Garland, and Donovan Mitchell, and that was in order from least to most. Karis LeVert is up and down in the rotation, but are in there, but the rotations are helping him. Ty Jerome has been a good surprise. Sam Merrill and Dean Wade are playing their roles, and I know Nick's in the chat, so we cannot forget about TT. We got to give Tristan Thompson some love too.
Absolutely. Yeah, this team, this was what we thought this team could be, if we're being completely honest. And so to see it finally come to fruition, I don't want to compare it to the JJ Redick transformation of the Lakers, where you had, the previous regime being very much just go out and play. And now JJ Redick is coming in and goes, no, we have like a system. But I feel like it's very similar where, listen, I liked JB Bickerstaff, but I felt like we talked about it last season, where there was a ceiling to JB Bickerstaff's knowledge and ability to make all of these pieces work. And so now we have a new head coach. He's come in and he's pushing all the right buttons and getting all these guys to work so cohesively with each other. And listen, we're top 10 in so many categories. 2nd in points per game, 2nd in steals per game, 3rd in fast break points, 5th in points in the paint, 1st in field goals made, 1st in 2-point and total shooting percentage, and 1st in second quarter points per game. We are absolutely killing it. I would say the only concern, we are 28th. We're at 28th in total rebounds per game. And we really don't have that bruising big that could deal with like those kind of bigs, kind of like a Cat, Steven Adams, Jokic. And I feel like they're going to be looking for contact and would bully Allen Mobley sometimes in the playoffs. But right now, I don't think that's something you have to really worry about right now with how you're be able to space the floor and how you're able to kind of play well on defense.
I can't with this dude. The Falls Rapids is the only team we have in common.
Where does that even connect?
I don't even know. I'm sorry. He just completely threw me off my game there. Back to what we were talking about. First of all, Dad seconds the vote, so we're keeping guard the land.
Cool.
This is exciting, man. Like, I'm excited again to watch regular season Cavs basketball. I wasn't excited Saturday. I wasn't excited last year. It was just like, okay, let's get to the playoffs and see what happens. Now I'm excited. So
Daniel, we might have to block you from the chat if you keep posting something. I'm just letting you know now.
I'm just ignoring this at this point. He's just trolling. I will say this to your comment. Yes, Jared Allen's getting a little older, so it has been a little bit easier to kind of get in on him. And then Evan Mobley is taking absolutely a step offensively and as a playmaker. But defensively, what I'm gonna say is this. What we saw from the Cavaliers under JB Bickerstaff sometimes I think was a detriment, where they're playing good defense, but they're not playing all out defense. You got to save some of that. Now, I'm not talking about rest like Joel Embiid or Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, but yeah, man, I'm sorry. This is a long season and they play a lot of games throughout the week. There's going to be some nights where, yeah, offensively, you're going to get a playoff effort, but defensively, I'm going to give you a regular season effort. Where with JB Bickerstaff, it was that playoff effort defense, week in, week out, game in, game out, which is great to watch. It's fun to see, get you great stats, get you first in the East, and it gets you bounced out in the first round because everybody's exhausted and tired. No worries, mama. No worries, mama. Thank you for checking in. But when playoff time comes, you're going to see the defensive intensity turn up. And I do want to give some love. We knew this was going to happen. When JB Bickerstaff got hired to the Pistons, they were going to be better. He is the perfect coach for that young team that needs to rebuild a roster, have some structure, hold guys accountable like that. And I'm glad he's doing well. They ain't making the playoffs, and maybe the play. I don't know. No, but they're getting. But I'm glad it's there. I'm glad it's there. And there, he stopped hating.
Yeah, it's literally just to be able to. Yes, you have all these options, but when it comes to the playoffs, you are going to have to be reliant on a couple of guys. That's just how it works. You rarely see teams nowadays win with a different player helping you every night. They can give you some help, but when it comes down to those tough final playoff games, you need guys like Garland, Mitchell, Mobley to be your main guys. And right now it's great in the regular season. You're allowing them to pass, you're allowing them to move. But that's the only thing that I want to see when it comes to playoff time. Can these guys step up? Because we haven't seen that yet.
Yep. I agree. It's very early. There's 9 games. Like, let's, but hey, we're hitting a decent stretch here. We see what this team's going to be. They're going to lose eventually. They're going to go on losing streaks eventually. So we'll see what happens when they actually, like you said, face some adversity. But that'll do it for Guard the Land, Cavs edition. Let's talk about the NFL. Not that either of us really want to this week. Started out Thursday with a 21-13 win for the Jets. And then my favorite game to play, we will roll in my order, which is not the order of the graphic. I don't even want to change it at this point. I think it's a really funny bit. Starting at the top is my team on my screen. Falcons 27, Cowboys 21. We talked about the injuries. I don't care. Blow it up. Tank for Shador. You can have the number 1 pick. I already agreed with a trade with Nick. You can have the number 1 pick. I will take number 2. You can have whichever quarterback you want. Obviously, Shador is not coming to Cleveland. I'll take the circus. I'll take Prime back. I'll take Dion. And that's how that rolls out of there. Moving on to college. No, I'm joking. Rolling on. Bills over the Dolphins, 30-27. Bengals big over the Raiders, 41-24. Touch the comments for me while I'm reading. Chargers 27, Browns 10. Titans over the Patriots, 20-17. F you, Dad. In overtime,
all in you, Ken. It's just not really all in of you.
Yeah, I know. Commanders 27, Giants 22. As my new favorite quarterback, Jaden Daniels, is in my division. Thanks a lot for that. Panthers over the Saints, 23-22. Ravens blew out my guy Bo Nix, 41-10. I just want to see if anybody else in the chats agrees with me. I think Bo Nix is Josh Allen light. Tell me if I'm wrong. Bo Nix, Josh Allen light. A little smaller. Absolutely cannon of an arm.
Second best quarterback in the class, hot take.
No, not at all. Fantasy keeper 15th round next year. Don't want to talk about fantasy anymore. Eagles 28, Jaguars 23. Cardinals 29. Poor man, Josh Allen. I'll take that. Josh Allen light. I was being positive with it, but same thing. Eagles over the Jaguars 28-23. I said that. Cardinals 29-9 over the Bears. Kalen Williams tweaked an ankle after that game, but it does appear that he will play this week. Lions 24, Packers 14. Lions, best team in the NFC?
Yeah. I mean, it's them and the Commanders, but I think that the Lions are more well-rounded.
Whoa, that's a hot take.
I don't know.
I don't disagree. I don't necessarily disagree. I'm not about to go hot take. Let's do the list. Top 5 teams in the NFC. I mean, if you really want to, we can.
Can you give me a team that you would say is better than the Commanders right now? In the NFC.
I still would probably take the Eagles until I see them play.
I think the Eagles are too streaky, in my opinion, but I get where you're coming from there.
But I'm also a Ric Flair. To be the man, you got to beat the man. And they haven't beaten the man yet. So they haven't beaten me yet either. Hold those thoughts. Yeah. Rams over the Seahawks 26-20 in overtime. Vikings over the Colts 21-13. Your 2 teams on a bye this week, the crappy Steelers and the crappy 49ers. I'm getting all the digs in that I possibly can. This week, all on you. Where's my graphic? Boom! Wow. Thursday night, tonight, we kick off with a great game that I wish was Sunday night. So these guys actually had the week of rest. But we've got Bengals at Ravens tonight. Get your fantasy lineup set. I don't want to talk about fantasy anymore. Giants at Panthers. Broncos at Chiefs. Oh, those Steelers at Commanders. I can't believe I'm about to say this, but please go Washington. Vikings at Jaguars. That's where I am at in my NFL fanhood right now. Falcons at Saints. Move the Falcons graphic down next week. San Francisco at Tampa Bay. I'm lashing out at everyone. I apologize. And Bills at Colts.
Oh my God, move this. How will you relax over there? All right.
Our audio is a little behind, so that's okay. Patriots at Bears. Titans at Chargers. Eagles at Cowboys.
Haven't yet.
Jets at Cardinals. Lions at Texans. That's a good matchup. Dolphins at the LA Rams. And then our teams on a bye this week. Your Green Bay Packers, your Seattle Seahawks, your Las Vegas Raiders, and Drew's Cleveland Browns. Thank you. You win with – listen, you are – and here, I'll do the glasses for this one. Cleveland Browns, you are the Colorado Buffaloes of the week. You win with an off week. Congratulations.
I don't have to be sad on a Sunday. I've never been so happy for a bye in my life.
Spoiler alert. The Cowboys-Eagles game is in Big Bros Big Bets.
Oh, God.
That's all I got to say. I'm not even going to say Cooper Rush. Yeah, Cooper effing Rush. Yeah, I know it hurts. Okay? I know it hurts, Pops. I know it hurts. It's my hurt. I know it. All right, I'm done with the NFL. I don't want to talk about the NFL. Get the NFL out of here. Let's talk about the NCAA. We will talk about the college football rankings. The top 12 is out. We know who's in. We know who has first-round buys. We know who the first-round home teams are. But we will get to that in a second. Before we get that, we've got to talk about last week, which means it's time for me to do my job and hit buttons that are supposed to work. Boom. Let's roll through your NCAA Week 10 wrap-up. Yeah, here you go, Daniel. Let's start Friday night. Number 15, Drew's Boise State Broncos, 56-24 over San Diego State. Boom, let's get to Saturday. Drew's favorite result of the weekend. Number 1, Oregon takes down Michigan, 38-17. I just saw the reel today of head coach at Oregon, Dan Lanning, celebrating with the team, waving to the fans, saying goodbye, quoting Gladiator because he had told them on Monday they were going to take a timeout and wave goodbye. Awesome stuff. Number 2, Georgia took kind of care of Florida, 34-20. That was a closer game than it should be. Right. Let's get to the one Drew wants to talk about, though. Number 4, Ohio State 20. Number 3, Penn State 13. Drew, you have asked all season long for Penn State to do it on the big game, in the big time, at Ohio State, or I'm sorry, against Ohio State, and they couldn't get it done.
One, I told all of you, Penn State is never legit, and they will never be as long as they keep their head coach, if I'm being completely honest.
Ooh, that's right. James Frank. Put your name. He said, what's your name? What's your name, son? Put your name on it.
But listen, I usually love it when I'm right. I love when I get to say I told you so, because it's fun to do. But in certain scenarios like this one, I am just left feeling very, very disappointed. They went up 10-0 after a pick 6 with 5 minutes left in the first. And this was feeling all Penn State, all Nittany Lions. And then they scored 3 points the rest of the way. They gained only 209 yards and had Ohio State on their own 1 with 4 minutes to go in the game. Ohio State proceeded to run 11 straight run plays for 58 yards and ran out the clock. Another year, another fraudulent Penn State team needing of a change if they're going to do anything in the Big Ten. Even more now that you have Oregon, USC, UCLA, even further pushing you down the rankings in the Big Ten. It's now Indiana because they're good. That is the issue.
First of all, shout out to me, Straub of the week. We allowed the youngin to spend the night with grandma, and I took the missus to the Let It Snow Fest. That's where I was watching Ohio State, Penn State on my phone. So was someone else standing in a line with me. Shout out to whoever he was. Very excited on the pick 6, and then I was never excited again. Yeah, they blew it. They had every chance and opportunity in the world. Ohio State didn't play great, gave them the game that if they played 9 out of 10 times, I can't even say Penn State would win.
Can't even say that.
But that is the game. If you're Penn State, you ask for it. You ask for that first drive to roll down the field. You ask for the pick 6. You ask for the 2 first and goals that got only 3 points. You ask for all of that, and you go, yeah, you're going to give me all of that? We're doing this. We're running on Ohio State. We're getting it this year. This is our year. And once again, Penn State, it is not your year. Not out of it yet, but very close. So let's keep it rolling. Number 5, Miami took care of Duke 53-31. Number 7, that was a fun game. Number 7, Tennessee 28, Kentucky 18. Kentucky is just punchy, man, all year.
Good defense.
Here's a fun one for both of us to talk about. Number 10 went down. South Carolina 44, Texas A&M 20. Listen, how many times do I have to say, number 1, that the South Carolina team is dangerous, and number 2, you do not want to have to go to Columbia, South Carolina to play a football game. It is tough as hell.
No, yeah, listen, I'll give you full props because after that, it's hard to talk about here because after that massive win for A&M, stomping, putting their name back into the college football playoff conversation, they go and turn the ball over twice and just look absolutely non-threatening other than the second quarter. Yeah. 3 points in the first, 17 points in the second quarter, and then none in the entire second half, and let South Carolina just run away with it. Props to South Carolina. They've had tough games all year where I feel like some of those games they should have won. The Alabama game, the LSU game. Very, very tough losses for them at times. But this was a good win for them. They will most likely not make the SEC championship unless things go crazy. But they can hang their hat that they had a really good season, just some tough breaks. Texas A&M, you were leading the pack with Georgia and Texas to really for that SEC championship spot. Now you're again where you were before after that loss to Notre Dame, having to have things go your way. And so you're kind of at your own mercy here, which kind of sucks.
We'll get to those. We'll get to some of those as we get to the college football playoff bracket. But I agree. I don't know if there's another team that has had as much influence on the college football playoff bracket this year than my side team, my side piece there, the Gamecocks. Let's keep it rolling with another upset. Number 11 went down as well. Number 11, Iowa State 22, Texas Tech 23. Texas Tech scored a touchdown basically on the last minute or last drive of the game to take this one.
This was Big 12 football in a nutshell. Back and forth all game. I want to say there was like 4 or 5 lead changes, 3 of them coming in the fourth quarter. This is a game that really blows the Big 12 wide open, because if you look at the standings, right, obviously you have BYU, who is 8-0,
undefeated and rolling,
doing great. But then you have a 7-1 Iowa State, who's 4-1 in the conference. You have a 6-2 Colorado, who is 4-1 in the conference, and you still have 5 teams who are either 3-2 or 4-2 in the conference and are right there.
Who was that you mentioned?
Just moving on.
Colorado.
Team, so I don't like them. But this really blew open the Big 12 conference now. And so you are going to get a lot of, especially this game that we're going to talk about a little bit later, or briefly mention a little bit later. This is going to be fun. This is going to be a fun conference at the end of the year, and I can't wait.
Absolutely. Let's get to the other upset. I mean, I wouldn't say another, because number 12, number 10, number 11, number 12, they're flipped on that rankings. They're flipped here, but same difference. Went down as well. Louisville 33, Clemson 21. Louisville gets its upset this year. Wasn't me this time. It was Clemson. Woo-hoo, baby.
Listen, this was honestly very reminiscent of the Notre Dame upset of last year. They ran all over Clemson. Isaac Brown, 20 carries, 151 yards, and a 45-yard run at was a really backbreak Clemson. And listen, Clemson wasn't really out of this game at the end of the half. Like, they gave up 14 straight to Louisville. It was 17-7 at the end of the half. But you're like, okay, Clemson's down 10. A touchdown brings them right back in. And then Louisville just said, nah, we're not going to let you score until 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter after we were already up 26-7. That Louisville team, they're not top-tier caliber. And it sucks that they're not, because they're fun to watch when they are at that level. But there's a game or two, man, every year that they just absolutely dominate good teams. And it's so fun to watch, because that means that the level can be there. You just need to get that consistency. And once they get that, who are they going to be a good team?
I don't really have any much more to say, because I'm just going to echo and repeat everything you just said. I will say this. I don't root against many teams in college football, but as the missus here is a Clemson fan, and Dabo has done many bad things to me, as a Notre Dame fan, I laugh at this. They were our potential first round matchup until they lost, but they still have a track to the ACC championship game. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that we see Clemson bounce back. More on their this week game coming up in Big Bros, Big Bets. We'll get to more on that later. Let's keep it rolling. Indiana keeps the undefeated season rolling with a 47-10 victory over Michigan State. And then it was another upset. Number 17, Kansas State went down to Houston 24-19. Drew, a team that you're familiar with very, very much in Houston. I'm not surprised.
Houston was very bad last year. Like, they came to the Big 12 in worse condition than we did. Had to really strip it bare bones, nothing left. But this team has honestly been one of the more impressive teams that I've seen in the Big 12 this season in terms of where they were projected and where they are. They're 4-5, which I know is nothing to really look at, but they stick in games. They really don't like getting beat down. It's exactly what happened here. Kansas State was only up 19-10 entering the third quarter, and then back-to-back touchdowns by Houston put them up. And listen, this team isn't going to win anything this year. They may not even go above 500, but they are a team that will really, really wear down an opponent, even if they end up losing. And it's a gritty team. And I like gritty teams.
I agree. 4-5, yes, but the team that you've been watching, I would say for 3 to 4 weeks or 3 weeks at least, is not the same team of the first 4 to 5 weeks. It's just not. It's a completely different football team. They're in games. I know more about them just specifically from a betting perspective. Spreads are being covered, upsets are being handled. You know what I mean? Things like that. So yeah, definitely on the come up there in Houston. And I'm going to do two things. I'm going to use lingo that's going to piss my brother off because he hates when I do this stuff, but I'm also going to bring this comment in. We've traded Daniel's Delulu comments for Sean's Delulu comments. Georgia would have lost.
I'm not upset with that. I'm not upset with that.
Georgia would have lost if we didn't have to play our third string transfer from Yale. I forgot Sean is an awful Florida Gators fan. Yeah, you would have had a better chance if you actually had your quarterback. I still don't think you win. Moving on. Oh, and I did want to go back to Daniel's comment because I didn't mean to skip past it. Boom. The jerseys Oregon had on are the best in the country, hands down.
They're really good. I will always go for an academy combination.
Army Navy game is going to kill it again as always.
Yeah, so that's goodbye. So
yeah. All right, let's keep it rolling. Daniel, where are you? Number 20 SMU took down number 18 Pittsburgh 48-25. This game was not close from the get right. Yeah, flat out. I expected more from this Pitt team.
And so did I. And the issue is like you look at this game and you're like, okay, SMU probably pulled away late or something like that. No. With 4 minutes left in the third, Pitt only had 198 yards of total offense and was down 34-3. So, listen, unfortunate for Pitt. They had all of the momentum and now none of the momentum. But props to SMU, man. An incredible first season in the ACC. And its only blemish, what we thought was going to be a bad loss, is a loss to an undefeated BYU team. So looking back on it, not as bad of a loss as we honestly thought it was going to be. And that's absolutely true. It's crazy seeing SMU back in the top 20 because, listen, I think the highest they ever got when we were in the American was 24, 23. And that's when they were playing teams, in the American. They're not playing ACC teams. And so good for SMU, man.
I love you so much. This is the glory of being able to do the show with my younger brother, who is 20 years younger than me, whose reference to SMU's rankings, whose references to SMU's rankings go back to the American Conference, where what our dad is talking about is the SMU powerhouse from the 80s that got the death penalty and suspended and has basically never been good up until when they got to the American, where Drew is talking about. So I had to laugh at that. But SMU is back. SMU is for real. NIL, I mean, it's funny that we have to talk about NIL and SMU, but man, if there's ever a school that's going to bring the old timers and the old money back to a school to donate for NIL, it's going to be SMU, man. All right. So I'm a pro SMU guy. I'm happy for them. And I'm glad on that. We'll have some updates on their rankings here in a second. The only team to really take care of business this week, Ole Miss took care of Arkansas 63-31. Number 21 Army took care of Air Force in a service academy game 20-3. And finally, our final upset, Minnesota took down number 24 Illinois 25-17.
Illinois, you ruined my bet. And worst of all, you ruined my excitement for you.
Little bros, little parlays.
Yeah, it was only 4 games, and that was the one that broke me. And so Yeah, but it hurts more because I was really excited for this Illinois team to actually be somewhat like not as good as an Indiana, but kind of still be battling. And it seems like they're kind of just week after week, they're looking less and less impressive.
I understand. I was disappointed, but hey, Minnesota, that's a team that fights week in, week out. That's another gritty team, as we use the trademark ESPN phrase there. So as everybody knows, we pride ourselves in graphics on this show. I mean, we cook up all our friends of the show graphics and things like that. However, I couldn't do that for this next one. So we're going to play a game, which is which stolen graphic do we like better for the college football playoff championship? Boom! Here are your top 12 teams. This one is a little out of whack. I'm not the biggest fan of it. This is the one that I like. So
I feel like you like the logos better.
I'm a logo guy. Listen, man, I'm going to repeat my corny phrase. I am green jerseys, yellow pants, all the things that make no sense in college football that I love so much. So your top 4 seeds: Oregon, Georgia, Miami, and BYU. Now, those are not the top 4 teams in the rankings. I will put up the rankings here in a second, but those are the teams that will get the first round buys based on the current projections of them leading their conference. Tradition. I like that word. That's what I like about college football. Tradition. But so those are your first four buys. Like I said, Oregon leading the Big Ten, Georgia leading the SEC, Miami in the ACC, and BYU undefeated in the Big 12. Now, to fill out the rest of your brackets, you have your at-large teams and basically the next best conference champion and the best of the rest. So Boise State would get that 12 spot as they are ahead in the Mountain West. And then you have the best of the rest. Ohio State, the number 2 team in the country, to the committee, would get the 5 seed and host a game against Boise State. Above them, Indiana, undefeated right now in the Big Ten, would play Tennessee, who's getting another at-large bid. Over on the other side, we have the big matchup where we would have at-large Texas and at-large Alabama going head-to-head in a first-round matchup. What?
I thought you were going to say the big matchup of you and Penn State.
And then in a matchup that I kind of actually would want, and I want all the smoke here, but Penn State would host number 10 Notre Dame. I would love it. The only way that I can host a game is if I was to finish in probably within the top 5 to 4 teams in the country, then I would get the biggest at-large bid and I would host. That was complicated.
I know we've always talked about how we think the 12 would possibly be too much, and we preferred 8.
I did until I saw this graphic.
I love these matchups. Oh my God. The Ashton Jaunty trying to prove it against an OSU defense, and an upstart Indiana team coming up against a Tennessee team that maybe looks too big for its britches. Bama versus Texas rematch is fantastic. Penn State and Notre Dame, 2 teams that have honestly a lot to prove to everyone about potentially being better than everyone thinks they are.
Prove it, you're here,
and then you get into the next matchups after that. Oh my, yeah, no, this is absolutely fantastic. I love this so much. You would
potentially now here's the problem. This is not going to stay this way because between Indiana and Ohio State play each other. And then Indiana, the winner of that game is going to play Oregon in the Big Ten championship and could potentially knock the other one out. So this is not going to remain. But the possibility of having a Boise State BYU matchup if there was an upset there, the possibility of having a rematch of Oregon, Indiana, or Tennessee moving in and having an SEC team test Oregon, the possibility of having Notre Dame, Georgia, give me that. And then the bottom side is actually the dream matchups. Miami versus Texas, Miami versus Alabama. I don't care. We win. That's who wins there. So yeah, this is great, but this is not going to stay.
I know. And I want these matchups right now. I don't care about any other games. Give me this 12-team playoff and I'm good to go. I'll play my games and then nobody else and then just these.
Absolutely. All right. So let's get to this week. Big game preview presented to you by the Falls Rapids. # spread the wave. And bro, let's ride this big wave of big games and check out the rest of the rankings because, hey, other teams matter, okay? But we have a big one this week. Number 2, Georgia at number 16, Ole Miss. We got a big one down in Oxford. Both of these teams continue their vaunting SEC conference schedule. And this is clear and fact this week. We are going to lose a very talented team from the possibility of a college football playoff bowl either way. Ole Miss would be for sure out. I mean, they're already on the very outskirts looking in. Georgia would have a humongous road ahead of them as they still have big games on the schedule. Now, Georgia's coming in after a shaky win against rival Florida. I think it's fair to call it that. But rivalry games are tricky. Tradition. We just talked about that. So I kind of tucked that one away. Now, other than one half of the Alabama game, this Georgia Bulldog defense has been stout, has been dominant. The offense has struggled, and it needs to play mistake-free, specifically Carson Beck, so that the defense can play free. Ole Miss has one of the most dangerous offenses in the nation, one of the top NFL quarterback prospects and college talents in Jackson Dart, and they need vintage Dart and Rebel offense if they are going to have a shot here. The floor is yours.
I mean, yeah. I mean, this is honestly one of 2 games where it's like a stay alive in the SEC championship race. We'll get to the Bama LSU game in a minute, but
spoiler
yeah.
alert.
Oh no, it's like they can see the graphic. Listen, yeah, Ole Miss. I hate to do this. This is your Penn State moment. You are at home. You are playing a team. Honestly, you are playing a high caliber team, which in the past you have not been able to beat. You haven't been able to beat Georgia, Bama, LSU, Tennessee when they've been, really good. This is your chance. Carson Beck has 11 interceptions this season. If you can get Georgia into turnover trouble and you can have that offense, at least not get shut down by that Georgia defense, you got a chance here. But listen, history is not on your side here. You haven't played well against top teams. You seem to struggle offensively. If something's going to change, it's going to be now against a Georgia team that maybe isn't completely on the ropes, but is definitely not as dominant as they've been in previous years, similar to like Ohio State was. So let's see if you can get it done. I want to see a shakeup in the SEC, and it starts with this kind of game.
My man said he wants to see a shakeup. The problem for Georgia is they have the expectations of the last 2 years, and we've watched that team for 2 years. We have said multiple times on this show, and I know I have echoed it many times, this isn't that Georgia team. They're great. They're a top echelon college football team, but they're beatable if you can score. If you want to get into a knockout, drag out fight with Georgia, you're going to lose. But if you could do what the Crimson Tide did, and you can get in and you can start scoring and you can start spreading the field and you can get a lead, you can tip this team off. Ole Miss has as any good of an offense as a chance as any in the country. I know that didn't make any sense. Ole Miss has the offense that has as best a chance as any in the country. There, I fixed it. So we'll see what team shows up. The problem, because we have to talk about this, Kirby Smart versus Lane Kiffin. Here we go again. Can Lane Kiffin try to clip and win a big game? We will see. He lost the battle of the coaches who can't win big game bowl in the game with LSU this year. So we will see. Speaking of LSU, number 11 Alabama travels to Baton Rouge to take on number 14 LSU. Brian Kelly versus old foe, the Crimson Tide. Now, Bama has had their slip-ups and have been up and down similarly to last year. But we dismiss that because Saban is king. Even in the Vandy game, Bama can score. They scored. They're coming off of a beatdown of struggling Missouri and a week off of so the offense is confident. And that does help it. And that helps because LSU, still gives up points in buckets, in bunches, man. Like a crap ton. But can the defense finally rise to the occasion and play some vintage Crimson Tide defense that we haven't actually seen in a couple years? Now, on the LSU side, Brian Kelly lose another game, breaking his run of 2 consecutive wins against ranked opponents. I don't like to just put it on the coach, but this is kind of Brian Kelly's MO, unfortunately. And unfortunately, he's in the SEC where it's top-ranked ops every week. Yeah, ops. Instead of a Notre Dame schedule where he's got one SEC and one Big Ten team followed by some other ranked lower tier ops. But if the offense can score and this defense can clip Bama for a couple possessions, they've got the possibility to do it. But LSU's got to prove it before I'm putting more on it.
No, I think you're absolutely right, especially considering last week where you have an Alabama team that blanked a Missouri team and knocked them out of, or knocked them all the way down to 24th in the rankings. And as for LSU, they just fell apart in the second half to A&M. And so, honestly, the big key here in Alabama is just follow A&M's footsteps, pressure Nussmeier, stuff the run, and make him throw and make him make mistakes. Because this offensive line is fantastic, but this quarterback, as soon as he gets some pressure, tends to make a lot of mistakes. And so that is going to be Alabama's mission on defense. But for LSU, listen, they can make big plays on offense. We've seen it before. They are electric on offense. And Alabama has been mistake prone in some of these games, especially against Vandy and some other teams. So if you can get Alabama to make some of those same mistakes and you can get up and make those big plays on offense, LSU has a chance. But it all comes honestly down to who's going to come out and pressure these offenses more. And I know we have 2 electric offenses, but I think this is going to be whoever has the best defense is going to win this game.
I agree, because this has all the makings for an LSU win. They've got the offense. This Alabama defense gives up points too. The offense can make mistakes. But if Alabama shows up, they're gonna win this game. They're going to. So we will see. Let's get to the rest of the best. Number 1, Oregon takes on Maryland. Number 2, Ohio State takes on Purdue. We talked about the Bulldogs. Number 4, Miami travels to Georgia Tech in a noon kickoff. More on that game later. We've got Texas and Florida also at noon. Penn State looks to get off the schneid against Washington. More on that later. Tennessee takes on Mississippi State. Indiana versus Michigan. I know not the biggest test for Indiana, but be careful because this is a rival. This could be a definite trap game. Speaking of big games and speaking of rivalry games, we have the Holy War, BYU at Utah, 7:30. I'm sorry, 10:15 ESPN, your late night game. Sneaky. Be careful.
Past their bedtimes, man.
Past their bedtimes. No sugar. No alcohol in the stands. Let's not make fun here. But careful, BYU is all I'm saying. It just be careful. These games can be tough. My Notre Dame Fighting Irish take on Notre Dame apparently at 7:30. No, I'm sorry. We take on 1 Florida State, 1-9 or 1-7.
That's Florida, a great game, Ken. My God.
Notre Dame versus Notre Dame, baby. I know I can't win, or I know I can't lose, or both. But yeah, I'm sorry. We take on Florida State at 7:30. This game shouldn't scare me, but it does, just because it's Florida State and they've got nothing else to do to ruin my season. Alabama and LSU. Your Boise State Broncos take on Texas Tech at 3:30.
That's tough. That's gonna be tough.
That's tough, and that is a big game that has implications all over the place for Colorado as well. SMU takes on Big Ten foe Michigan State on Peacock. Texas A&M with a much-needed bye this week. You'd probably tie. Thanks a lot, Dad. LSU, Alabama, we talked. Ole Miss, we talked. Iowa State looks to get back off the schneid against Kansas. Those Pitt Panthers take on Virginia. Kansas State is off this week. Hey, Coach Prime and the Colorado Buffaloes moved up in the rankings, but obviously I use the official rankings for the first one, so technically they didn't jump, but they are at number 20. They take on Texas Tech. Yeah, I messed up this week. I'm sorry. Colorado is taking on Texas Tech. I'll get you Boise State. Get you Boise State in a second. Washington State has Utah State. Louisville is off.
Nevada.
I apologize. They take Boise State is going to run all over Nevada. So it wasn't even worth putting it up there. That's why I didn't do it. Those Louisville Cardinals you talked about are ranked number 22. They're off this week. Right underneath them, those Clemson Tigers as they take on Virginia Tech. Missouri hanging on at the 24th spot versus Oklahoma. And hey, they are still representing number 25, disrespected. The 8-0 Army Black Knights take on North Texas. More on that here in a second. The reason I messed up the graphic is because I was too busy trying to make this next one. Bro, we effing killed it. Big Bros, big bets. 12-3 on the top half of our bracket. That's where we put our big games and our parlays together. We did clip 3 upsets this week, and I want to give myself some damn credit because I hammered you on Vanderbilt, I hammered you all on Florida State, and I hammered you on South Carolina, and they all took care of business. Army, you won, but you couldn't cover. That's okay. Navy, man, what the hell happened? They lost to Rice in a not great game. And I mean, that NFL run-in, can we talk about that? Other than the Saints blowing it in a close game that they should have won, we absolutely rolled it last week. 12-3. Don't know what we are overall. Don't want to even think about what we could be overall because those first couple weeks were bad. But let's get to this week because we have some fun. Boom. Let's start with our spread party. We have Texas minus 21.5 over Florida. Be quiet over there. I know which 2 you're talking about.
Disrespectful.
I know it is. Miami minus 10.5 over Georgia Tech. Clemson minus 5.5 over Virginia Tech. I think it's a bad week for the Techs. And I think Clemson is definitely going to bounce back. I'm sorry, North Texas. Only Texas I respect is SMU and Texas. So give me Army minus 5.5 over North Texas. South Carolina, I'm riding this hot wave, minus 3.5 over Vanderbilt. I know Vandy's hot. I know Diego Pavia is the hot man, and that's the hot team, but I like this Gamecocks team. Penn State, I think they bounce back big. Give me them minus 13.5 over Washington. Navy, I'm giving you one last chance, minus 2.5 over South Florida. Bounce back. And I like a big one. Give me Oregon minus 24.5 over Maryland. So those are the ones we count. Those are the ones we roll in. Upset Central is obviously just a bunch of games with some fun odds that might be interested. If you like to use FanDuel or Bet365 or DraftKings or at BetMGM, I think that's all I got. But the first one, the disrespect. Listen, I got to put it up there. West Virginia plus 168 over Cincinnati. I'm not saying I'm betting on it. I'm just saying West Virginia's tough. Cincinnati has been up and down, coming off a tough loss to Colorado. I'm just saying, bro. Thoughts?
This is a tough. We're coming off a bye, so you never really know how a team's going to come off a bye. But I think this team, its floor, I think is better than it was in previous years. And so I think that is what gives me, I think, a lot of confidence coming this West Virginia game is even though we've lost and sometimes we kind of lack some defensive strength, I think that this team is still good. And I still think at its base is better than West Virginia's base. And I think that's what we're going to get here. I think it's a close game. It's a good game, but I think Cincinnati comes out on top.
All right, listen. All right, Bearcats talk with Drew. That's enough said. I just wanted to put the number up there. There you go. Syracuse plus 104 over BC. I know BC's tough. This is the same kind of conversation. Excuse me. Syracuse constantly up and down, but BC's been tough. Georgia Tech, if you like the upset, plus 300 over Miami. Ole Miss plus 110 over Georgia. I'm sneaking some non-ranked favorites in. Give me San Jose State plus 112 over Oregon State. Duke plus 126 over NC State. Michigan plus 450 over Indiana. I brought it up. I'm just saying. especially if you're Michigan, where the only thing you have left to do this year is to upset Indiana and Ohio State. I'm just saying. North Texas plus 172 over Army. If you think I'm dead wrong on Army, Texas Tech plus 136 over Colorado. If not everybody believes in Coach Prime like Ken. Vanderbilt is plus 132 over SC. South Carolina is favored in that game. But if you like that hot hand, if you like Diego Pavia to keep the hot hand rolling, there's the Vanderbilt number. Maryland, because it's just a fun number, plus 1280 to upset Oregon. If you're all in on the Terps, shout out to Scott Van Pelt. LSU plus 116 over Alabama. If you think Brian Kelly can get it done, plus 150 for Utah over BYU in the Holy War. If you think they can clip the undefeated. And another fun one I like out of the middle of nowhere, UCF plus 125 over Arizona State. And we've been hot here. Let's try to stay as hot as we possibly can be. And this is the first time I've done this all year. Give me Bills over the Colts, Vikings over the Jags, Chiefs over the Broncos, Falcons over the Saints, Chargers over the Titans, and yes, Eagles over the Cowboys.
You should have already put the bye week over the Browns. I think you would have paid out tremendously.
I'm sorry, say that. What did you say?
I said you also should have put the bye week over the Browns. Yeah. I think that paid out actually, I think they're favorites. So.
It was double. I think I got a double return on that when I added that in. But yeah. I don't normally put my team in here because they're so up and down, but I don't even think it's close. I think the Eagles roll us. But yeah. Let's stay hot. Let's stay hot. All right. Done with the football. Time for the football. Let's get to the footy. And Drew, this weekend was the battle of the Straub Bros. Manchester United versus Chelsea ended in a 1-1 draw. There was a There was a scarf swap instead of a jersey swap because neither of us won. You left your scarf here. I refuse to bring that on the show. That's your loss, not mine. But we will talk about that. We will also talk about Manchester City's loss, and we will also talk about Arsenal's loss. So, where would you like to begin?
I want to begin, honestly, all of that red up at the top of the table. If you look, 4 out of the top 6 teams lost this week. And honestly, I think that is a statement on this league can be wide open this season. You have City losing, you have Arsenal losing, you have Aston Villa losing, you have Brighton losing. Absolute chaos. And while Liverpool did win, and they do look good right now, that is a team I believe is very, at any moment, can start to slip up later on in the season, especially with all of the tournaments and cups and games that they're going to have to play in later in the season. So I think this is going to be wide open.
Give him his love. All right.
Listen, I appreciate you more than you know. That's a fantastic result.
And that's a good place to start. Newcastle 1, Arsenal 0. Pop says Newcastle, clip Arsenal, get the upset. Is this enough to give Newcastle a bit of steam to make a run to the top 6?
I can't say that, mostly because I feel like this is now kind of Newcastle's MO, where you see them play well and play big in big games where they're at home and the crowd's with them. But then when you have other games where maybe they're away or they're not playing such a big opponent, they just falter and they just don't seem like they're up for it or motivated. And I feel like that's going to be Newcastle's kind of MO until something of a culture change shifts. And so good for Newcastle. You came up when it mattered. You clipped off a big team and got some crucial points. But there's a reason why you're in 12th right now. And that's just because you haven't been able to be consistent like this for however many weeks into the season that we are,
Agreed. Let's get to the other big loss. Bournemouth 2. Yes, Bournemouth 2, Manchester City 1. Little Giant clips Big Giant. Man, a massive result for Bournemouth. And I think it's fair to say, before we hit any alarms and let's pump the brakes a bit, Manchester City lose a game like this around this time every year.
Oh, you're absolutely right. However, I do say that typically it's when they're already up by 6 points. So it is pretty interesting so far. However, yeah, this was a game that truly showed how missing one or two key players on a team can insanely affect how you play as a unit. Because losing Rodri and not having De Bruyne in the lineup and not being able to play is absolutely crushing this midfield right now. And this shows by how easily they are able to get counterattacked by teams like Bournemouth, because they don't have the midfield to stop a counterattack. A team like Bournemouth is. And that's how they got those goals. They got a quick goal in the 9th minute because I got caught off-footed. And then after all of that possession the City had up until about the 60th minute, here comes Bournemouth again and absolutely just devastates them. And so that is kind of where we're at, where that midfield is not even close to the quality of where it used to be. And you are seeing that right now against teams that they know if they can get past that midfield, they are through in against these defenders who are good, but aren't these world-class defenders like, teams on Liverpool or Arsenal, where they are stopping attacks.
I agree. We've been hoping, the rest of us Premier League fans, what was eventually going to clip this Manchester City team to stop the dominance and to stop the dominant run. People thought it might have been players leaving, like De Bruyne. If Haaland moved on for some reason, because the rumor just constantly floats up, regardless of whether or not it's valid or not. Whether or not it would be Pep leaving eventually. What was going to, stop this Manchester City dynasty? No one ever really mentioned, it would be injuries.
Yeah.
But it kind of seems like the injury bug might be the thing that allows a Liverpool, Arsenal, someone else to get themselves in this title race and get their foot in the door and possibly clip this run that Manchester City's been on.
No, you're absolutely right. And obviously we have so much longer in the season to go that I don't even want to
I know.
want to try to make any predictions, but it's interesting to think about when you see this team, because they look different than how they've been in these past, because other times it was that they couldn't finish, right?
Yeah.
Now it seems like they're getting beat, and that there's a little bit of a different vibe now in this City team than it was in previous years.
Absolutely. A couple more results to ask you about before we get to our game. Bigger result for their club. Nottingham Forest's 3-0 win over West Ham, or Spurs' 4-1 win over Aston Villa?
I think it's a good win by Tottenham, just because it's a game, it's a get-right game. That's a team that's been kind of struggling. But unfortunately,
and a team in the top four. And a team in the top four.
I will say, but I feel like this Aston Villa team right now is, I think, struggling due to all the competitions they're in. And I think it's very much the Newcastle effect, like it was last season. And so it shows in the result today, where Aston Villa also lost today to, I can't remember their name. They lost yesterday to Club Brugge in the Champions League. So that's that side. This Nottingham Forest team. Oh my! And you'll see this in the next table.
And we talked about it this weekend when we were sitting with each other.
Oh my God! This Newcastle team, or Nottingham Forest team, is playing absolutely fantastic. They have the second least goals given up behind Liverpool in 7. They've only scored 14, but this is a team that is basically saying, try to get past us. We will not let you. And it is working. It may not work for the entire season. Some guys will probably get injured or tired, and they won't have the same structure and dynamic as they do now. But man, it's fun to see these big teams. I'm not saying West Ham's a big team, but the other, like Liverpool and us, go up against this Nottingham Forest team and just have no answer for that defense. And I am very, very impressed with this team right now.
I agree with that. The problem for Nottingham Forest, Aston Villa is running into this now because they didn't have this problem last year. Then they had to, they did sell some players this year. Nottingham Forest's first 11, maybe first 12 to 13 are playing great. What happens as we get into the season when 13, 14, 15, 18, 19, and 20 have to come off the bench, where a squad like Nottingham Forest, although they have bought as many players as Chelsea have in the past 3 years, how deep can you go? How healthy can you stay? How deep can you go? No pun intended. But we shall see. Okay, my last question to you: how bad of a loss of that was for Everton? Quickly.
I wouldn't say bad. I feel like all of those teams from 15 down are very similar. I just think it depends on who they played so far. So I'm not super like, oh, it was a bad loss for Everton. I feel like any of those teams could win or lose or draw to any of those other teams. So it happens.
I appreciate you for saying 15 down. And finally, we talked about it at the top of the footy. Let's finish with it. The Battle of the Straub Bros, 1-1. A good first half, chippy, pushy, hard fouls, a lot of reckless stuff before the ball coming into guys. We absolutely loved it. It was the funnest 0-0. Hold on, it's the funnest 0-0 first half I think we've had, or just half we've had in a long time. We still didn't get the replay of Diego Dalot's chicken wing. He literally went around a defender and chicken wing the ball up in the air. It was amazing. But then in the second half, a clumsy challenge by your keeper. We both agreed it was a penalty. Both also agreed we wish he would have tried to stay up and play on. That is not modern football. Hammered away home by Bruno Fernandes. And then just a couple of minutes later, Caicedo with an absolute wonder strike. Continues to only score goals against Manchester United, whether it be for Brighton or Chelsea. And then it was a bit back and forth. Both teams exchanged some chances. You in about the 70th to 80th, 85th on me. Nothing really came of any of those chances. And we end in a 1-1 draw. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I know I have some friends that are Chelsea fans, and they were disappointed in this result. But if I'm being honest, I think this is honestly one of the best results that could have happened in this game for me. I feel like this was 100% a game that we, in previous years, even if we were having a good run, would lose just due to the being away and that at Old Trafford, which we always just can't seem to pull out a victory in on a team that
since when?
2013 when Juan Mata scored the game-winning goal.
Baby. Yeah, baby.
And then you lose my train of thought when you do that. And then a game where you're coming off a massive victory after firing your manager. You're playing free, amazing attacking football, and so to get a draw and to look good against a team that's so hot as that, I'm okay with it. We as we'll see in the later table, I cracked the top.
You weren't Sunday.
I wasn't. I know I was a little upset, but looking back on it, it's a game that in previous years we lose.
Just happy to lose.
Happy to look good in a draw.
Hey, listen, I was just happy not to lose, like I just said. Yeah. Hey, I would have actually rather not have played Leicester in the cup on the Wednesday before our game, and had you have been my first game, I think we would have lit you up. I do want to give us a shot. Yeah. We're playing well. So you see how my attitude has changed during this entire segment. You could clip the two segments next to each other, one from 2 weeks ago and 3 weeks ago, and then clip this one, and it's just a complete change. I want to give our boys a shout out. 2-0 in Europa this today. Amad Diallo with the double, 2 beautiful goals. One a header of the little man, and then just a beautiful curler in the top corner. Go ahead, give Chelsea a shout out.
8-0 in the Conference League today.
Oh my Lord!
Yeah, absolutely destroyed the best team in the Armenian League, FC Noah.
Okay.
So played all of our second and third strings. As we'll see, we had to play our second and third strings because we have a big game this week. As we can see here. Looking up at the table, we have a little bit of change. Liverpool, you're now top. City second. Nottingham Forest, like we said, enjoying this amazing run of form in third. And my Chelsea rounding out the top 4 above Arsenal. Aston Villa running up the top 6. Manchester United jumping up a spot. Very, very good. Coming back in it. And listen, like we talked about as well, you are 6 points away from a top 6. And so we are so early in the season that there's no doubt in my mind that you are going to continue to climb and climb. So I'm not worried about that. But yeah, listen, some big games this week.
Absolutely. I mean, I have Leicester again, which is kind of scary when only a week and a half ago I blew them out in the one of the cups. I don't remember which one. I think yeah. So that'll be a tough game. Super excited for Liverpool Villa, super excited for City Brighton. Forest Newcastle, Pops, you better watch out. And then, I mean, come on, bro. The game of the week, Chelsea and Arsenal.
So last week, I've had back-to-back game of the weeks, apparently. But last week I was so nervous. You were coming off of firing your manager. I was on the road.
Playing you makes you nervous.
Playing you makes you nervous. We never beat you guys on the road, and even then, it's always most of the time a slugfest against you guys, no matter how bad you guys can be or good you guys are. It doesn't matter. I am the complete opposite of this game. Arsenal lost to Newcastle, lost to Inter Milan in the Champions League yesterday. And I'm at home in front of going to be a raucous crowd who realizes we are top 4 and have a chance to make this a good season for the first time in about 3 years. And we're playing a struggling rival that has to figure out its footing very, very quickly, or will even be further down the table than they have been in quite some time. I am absolutely fired up for this game.
I'm gonna do my best, Peter Drury. Stamford Bridge will be electric. That was awful. But yeah, you'll be on fire. Go you. I can't believe I'm saying that. I don't want you anywhere near 1. But you can take out Arsenal and you can stay in a Champions League spot. I'll come get 1 later. But yeah, I agree. That's your exciting one. And that'll do it for the Premier League. Because this is gonna get fun. Sean, where are you, sir? Let's talk about the MLS playoffs. Oh, Columbus, you got some splaining to do.
Yeah, this one, some interesting results. We'll touch on that in a minute. But if we're starting off, so we obviously have the games here. Charlotte wins and pens and draws even with Orlando. LAFC, hey, listen, you are honestly, if I'm being completely honest, the only dominant team that I'm seeing right now in this MLS playoffs.
That would be the Galaxy, not LAFC.
I just said LA.
You said LAFC, but it's okay.
Anyways, my Cincinnati kind of blew it late. Never really kind of had footing in that game. Atlanta taking out Inter Miami and Vancouver taking out LA. So both number 1 seeds go down. Minnesota takes out Real Madrid in 2 games, 3-1 on pens on that one. 7-6 Seattle to go ahead and take out Houston. And the only game in the East to only go 2 games, the Red Bulls beat Columbus Crew in pens 5-4. Listen, I was scared to play the Red Bulls, but that's mostly because every single time we've been in the playoffs, we've played the Red Bulls, and I feel like that's just never good juju to play a team you always play in the playoffs. Especially if you beat them consistently, it just feels like at one point they're going to take you out. But this Red Bull team was really punchy, man, throughout this season. And they got some help with some veterans in this playoff season. And Columbus, man, it either was that they didn't take this game. They were looking ahead to maybe Cincinnati or New York City FC, or they just didn't take into account the actual boost they were going to get from some of those veterans off the bench. And it hurt them. It hurt them real bad.
Florida Gators, Manchester City, Columbus Crew. Tough weekend, Sean. Tough weekend, Sean.
And the Browns.
And the Browns. I mean, that's just expected at this point. But yeah, that's a tough one. Shout out to my Galaxy. 9-1 total in those 2 games in terms of scoring. Look on fire. Also, shout out to Ricky Pooch, who criticized the league because my Galaxy are not going to play another game for, I think it is 22 or 23 days, which is just outrageous. So, yeah.
Yep. Looking into the actual bracket here.
That's what I needed.
Yeah, tale of two conferences here where the West Coast, most of them are settled into the next round except for LAFC, who's playing on Saturday against Vancouver to kind of decide who's going to take on Seattle there. But then, yeah, like Seattle, Minnesota, and the Galaxy all have moved on. And Minnesota and Galaxy, I think that'll be a good game. I think Minnesota is kind of going to be at a big disadvantage here. I think LSU is just rolling, but you never know. But yeah, if you look on the East Coast side, absolutely flipped. Only one team has gone through. And honestly, I think that, Orlando and Miami are going to kind of pull it out. But it's one of those things where it could go either way. And you could see both teams get upset by the lower seed. In terms of Cincinnati and NYCFC, honestly, that game could go either way. It determines on who's going to be the better team in the first 30 minutes. And I think that's what's going to happen. So I think that's more of a toss-up than the other two. But still great games that are going to be had in that final third game.
You nervous?
Yeah, no, I really am. We controlled the game in game one to win it. But in game two, it feels like they really kind of had the upper hand and we never got control of the game. And that's when we lose games. And so if that happens again, they need to make a change to do something. And I don't know if Pat Noonan kind of is that guy. He kind of likes to stick with his system and eventually it will work. And sometimes that kind of costs him.
First of all, shout out to the trucker who came into our warehouse today. Was it today? Yeah, today or yesterday, wearing the FC Cincinnati hat. I gave him a shout out for you. Yeah. Number two, New York City FC is owned by the Manchester City group. Please take them out. So the Premier League questions I threw at you were all off the top of the head, and you had great answers. This one we already discussed, but I want to do it again on the show. Better for the MLS if Inter Miami win the cup or lose the cup?
I think this is a very specific answer. When we talked about this, and there's a rankings to it.
Because I'm going to ask you the second half of the question too.
Yeah, I think your worst case scenario, Inter Miami goes on the first round.
Mm-hmm.
Because while it technically shows the quality of the MLS, you are automatically losing so many eyes on this sport no matter what, because they will not see it as, oh, this league is good. It's, oh, Messi's not there. I don't want to watch it anymore. So that's that. Second worst, or I guess the middle road, is Inter Miami winning the cup. Because one, you get eyes on it the entire time, but it does show the lack of quality in the MLS. And that does hurt the reputability of the league. Now, your second question is what my top answer is.
Oh, I'm sorry. Better for them to lose in the final.
That is the best case scenario for the MLS. You want Inter Miami to go all the way and then lose to a team that doesn't have the best player. Because then you get the eyes, but you also show the quality. It's the best of both worlds. And it would honestly boost the league because then you go, is Messi washed? Is he not going to be able to perform? Is he not going to be able to make it there? And they tune in the next season to watch this league again.
100% agree. Now, because you can ride with me on this, because in order for that to happen, obviously, Inter Miami would either have to take you or the Red Bulls out. So obviously, you're conceding that. Yeah. Is the best thing for it to, is the best thing for ratings for it to be my Galaxy? The LA market, the LA team, the former star and showcase team of the MLS with Kobe Jones and David Beckham and Zlatan and, you know what I mean, and David and Landon Donovan to take down the Messi.
I wouldn't
with
say
with a homegrown kid from Barcelona leading the team.
So the best case scenario in my mind that I'm looking at right now, right, and this is non-biased whatsoever. the New York teams to play in the next round. That would mean I would have to lose because that gets you your New York rivalry market.
Mm-hmm.
Inter Miami facing one of those New York teams in the semifinals. And then both LA teams playing in the other conference finals. And then whatever LA team playing in Miami. Because LA Galaxy obviously has the history. But if we're talking popularity, you guys are very, very close.
I will concede that LAFC has come in and the fan base is there. The ultras are horrible, but the fan base is there. The stadium is packed. I will give them that. They've rejuvenated the Galaxy.
Yes, I agree. But I think that is your best case as a league thing. If you were to control games and pick and choose who would win, that is who I believe would be your best teams to showcase the league.
I agree. To go from the New York markets to the LA markets to the LA markets versus Messi. Yeah, I agree. I'll concede that. I did only say the Galaxy because I didn't want to mention them, but I will concede both teams there. All right. Well, that will do it for your MLS, but the footy is not done. We have one more. All you, my guy, it's time for Americans Abroad. Straub will let the music hit because it always skips you, and bring it home, baby.
Let's go. Anjo Zendejas.
We didn't hear any.
That's fine. No worries.
Okay.
Alejandro Zendejas having a really good season. He had an assist this week, his 5th of the season, and a 5-0 win. A goal, his 7th, a 2-1 win. Brendan Erickson from Leeds continues to kind of stay pretty decent. A 4th goal and a 3-0 win. Haji Wright, a goal and an assist and a 3-0 win. Cameron Carter-Vickers got his first goal in a 6-0 win. Always love to see center backs get goals. Fantastic. Malik Tillman had the game of his life in a 4-0 win. An absolute screamer that you were going to have to go check out. 2 assists and a man of the match. Christian Pulisic with an assist, his 4th, and a 3-1 win against Real Madrid in the Champions League. And Anthony Robinson gets an assist and man of the match in a comeback win over Brentford. And just to let you know, next week or the week after, we will have November rosters for Jamaica in the Nations League.
Way to kill it, kid. Every week. The Anthony Robinson performance was just amazing. Chris has stayed on fire. Got love from the Champions League broadcast crew, the CBS crew. So that was huge there. Big week for the Americans. And I don't normally say this because I haven't been, but I'm excited as hell for that Nations League roster. I'm excited as hell for that Nations League game. I know Jamaica's bringing a tough roster. So, yeah. All right. Take over the graphics. I'm sticking on my mouth. Oh, there it goes. All right. Well, whew. Hey, you're back. It's good to see you on the full screen. That'll do it here for the Strawbro Sports Show. We appreciate you for joining us here on the 216 Sports Network. Whether you have followed and liked us on Facebook and are watching there, or if you have liked and subscribed to the 216 Sports Network YouTube page and have become one of our 5.2 thousand subscribers. What do you find on the 216 Sports Network? Boom. All of us. 4th and 15 with Mel and Smooth, the Jay Rich Show, the Ruler's Minute with Rico McGee, Outside Interference, and the Strawbro Sports Show. Where can you find the Strawbro Sports Show? All updated and rolling on Twitter or X at Strawbro Sports. The new TikTok up at the SBSS. I think it's like 20 at this point. All of our Rapids interviews on the Instagram, as well as our interview with Josh Cribbs at Strawbro Sports Show, and all of our shows freshly updated to the top, except for today's, at Spotify, the Strawbro Sports Show. A big shout out to our friends of the show. Let's put some faces on those names. There's my guy, Austin Fink at Create Your Own Wave Apparel. Make sure you follow them at Create Your Own Wave 2021 on Instagram. And make sure you get that fresh merch, CYOWapparel.myshopify.com. The winter selection is rolling out. It's fire. And this is our official petition to get Austin to bring back some of the old school stuff because that top right corner is the sickest thing I've ever seen in my life. Cool. Always a big shout out to the Falls Rapids Straub Sports Show, your official broadcast team. Remember, not only will they be playing their games at InfoCision Stadium, we will be in the broadcast booth, but you can catch every game, preseason and regular season, on the 216 Sports Network, Straub Sports Show in the booth. And doing good stuff here. Make sure you check out the Rapids Toy Drive. Like I said, they have partnered with Keys to Serenity for a Christmas toy drive. New unwrapped toys can be donated at 2 locations: MK Hair, 2695 North Haven Boulevard, Suite 10 in Cuyahoga Falls, or Moose Lodge, 918 4444 State Road, Cuyahoga Falls. If you can give back to the kids, we really appreciate it. Visit keystoserenity.org or info@keystoserenity.org for questions. I'm killing the reads this time. I got to make up for the last one. And, I'm so excited to bring this back. Our new friend of the show, Schmoopy Sweets and Treats, our at-home bakery, Paula Howard, big shout out to her today. Newest friend of the show, located right here in the Falls, offer free delivery in the surrounding area, Falls, Akron, and Stowe, free shipping, not just locally, but to all 48 United States of America. And all orders over $20 receive a 10% discount with the code COOKIES10 until the end of November. Get your orders in. That is an absolute order right now. And make sure you're helping not just a friend of the show and friend of the Rapids, but another local person here trying to follow their dreams. Now, like I said before, that holiday menu that you see up there, available in store only, but online, a whole host of cookies available for shipping. I am putting in an order, if not tonight, tomorrow. I promise that, because I want to show some cookies off next week too. Boom. So that will do it there. Drew, final shout outs. I didn't forget you this time.
Appreciate you. Listen, thank you everyone for watching and listening to this amazing thing that we get to do every week. Appreciate your pops. Ooh. Love you, Mom. Always, Paula. No worries there. But yeah, have a great weekend, everybody. Hope you guys had a good Halloween. And remember, just because there is no longer Halloween does not mean it is immediately Christmas time. There is a holiday in between. It is fantastic where you share amazing food and watch football and watch parades. And I will not stand for skipping Thanksgiving for Christmas. That is all I have to say. I hope everyone has a good weekend.
I'm glad I didn't shout you out at the beginning of the show. We didn't need the Christmas rant off top. No Thanksgiving disrespect over here. I'm a man who likes fried turkey and all the turkeys and every single bit of Thanksgiving food possible. Yep, say it again. No Christmas, but I also have to put up Merry Christmas. Paula deserves that. Yes, love you, bro. Thanks everybody for rocking with us. The Rapids have a lifting session that I will be at. I will be gathering more interviews, but I've got plenty in the bank ready to roll. So stay tuned for all of that stuff all over the Straub social media. And as always, please remember to love yours.